Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. This video I'd like to show you part 2 of Trinity mandalas. In this part we're going to grow the small mandalas we made last time. In part 1 we're going to grow them to the medium-sized mandala. This design is my own design, and in the video description you can find a link to the written pattern on my blog. So if that works better for you, I also have a written pattern for you in various translations. The yarn that I'm using here is Scheepjes Katona yarn. This is the black yarn that we're using for the edge, but we're using 10 different colors to make these mandalas. Also my color list is on my blog. And I'm using this together with a 3mm hook. So it's a relatively small hook for the yarn, but that's to get the tension right so that we can really get a nice and compact mandala that really fits well in the ring. So we're also using a ring to make this mandala, and we're using that to stretch it out and keep it in position. I'll take you step by step through all the rounds that make up the medium mandala. So we're starting from the small one, and then we grow out and we finish with the black edge here in the ring. Hope it's a useful video for you. Thank you for watching. So round 11 for the medium mandala. So we're continuing with the small mandala we made in part 1. We're going to continue from that. Going to start in any popcorn stitch. I have a new color yarn on my hook, and we're going to start in any popcorn. So I'm just going to choose this one. Just look at the popcorn. You see you've got the chain 1. And here you've got this space. Some people like to work in that space. Some people like to work in the chain 1. So that's in there. And that's really up to you what you like to do and what you find easier. I've just snagged my hook there. I'm going to just work to the right of the popcorn in this space, but that's up to you. I'm going to start with the standing treble. So I'm going to yarn over twice and then hold on to that tightly. So here you've got that little space there. I'm going to insert my hook there, and then work a standing treble. Need to work 4 more in the same position. Just 2, and this is 3, 4, and the last one here is 5. It looks a little skew, but we're going to be pulling things right a bit later on. There we go, 5 trebles in the popcorn. Chain 10. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Chain 10. Now move up to the next popcorn and again work 5 trebles in there. Yarn over twice, and in the top of the popcorn a treble, and this here is number 2. You can see how this shell, this 5 treble shell, is exactly the same as the previous one. So what you're going to do in this round is you're going to work 5 trebles in every popcorn and chain 10s in between. So here I've got the last treble. So again 5 trebles. Now I'm going to do a chain 10, just like here, chain 10, and then in this popcorn here work 5 trebles. Go all the way around, and when you get here you're going to do a chain 10 and then close on that first stitch. Do that with an invisible join. I just like to show you how to do that because you're going to be joining with a chain. So go all the way around, and then I'll see you here just for the closing. I've gone all the way around. Here's my last 5 trebles and the chain 10. What I'm going to do is cut my yarn and then open up this loop, and I've got a yarn needle here, thread the yarn here on your needle. This is now going to be an invisible join, as we always do, but you might just feel uncomfortable with the chain here, so I'll just show you how. Here's the standing stitch. Now remember, when we do an invisible join on a standing stitch, we go actually to the stitch next to it. So go through that stitch, just like we normally do. And then look at your chain and go through the top of the chain. And here you can see it's a bit large, I need to pull it smaller, but that is your invisible join that you're making right there. Just need to pull it a little smaller still, just so that it's the same size as the rest of my stitches. And massage the chain a bit, and there you go. That's it. Now this thread, I'm now going to come back and work away through the back here. So I'm just going to go through here. That's the slip stitch knot I have at the beginning. I'm just going to push through there. And then I'm going to come down and work my yarn away in there, and I can work away the beginning yarn tail as well. And then here from the front you see absolutely nothing, and that's important here because in the next round we're going to be bringing these stitches forward, so you really want to join here with an invisible join. So work away these yarn tails, and then we're ready for the next round. Round 12, I have a new color yarn on my hook, and I have the same color yarn as I did here the last round of the small mandala, so those yellow popcorns, that's the same color yarn I have here. We're going to start in any 5 treble shell, and we're going to start in the first one with a standing back post double crochet. So I'm just going to yarn over, then around that first stitch from the back, work a standing back post double. Just hold on to your yarn, and there we go. On the next 4, also work a back post double. So you're going to work a back post double on every stitch of the shell. And as you're doing so, you'll see the top of the stitch rolling forward, and that's also the reason why it's important to do an invisible join on the previous round, because then this just looks so much nicer than if you would join with a slip stitch. There you go, so 5 back post double crochets. Chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're now going to work a treble between the 2 double crochets that we made an increase here. You see here, these 2 stitches I have here in white, these are from round 9. You see those 2 doubles. In between those 2, so really in between there, going to work a treble. And while we do so, we're going to cover this chain 10 space. So I'll show you. We're going to yarn over twice for the treble, then come between those 2 doubles there, insert your hook in there. You're going to cover everything, and in the beginning it's maybe easier if you just fold your chain 10 slightly to the back, and then we'll bring it back up in a moment. So I'm covering everything. Grab your yarn and complete the treble. 2, 3, and chain 5 again. 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'm just going to fashion this chain a bit, so I'm going to bring it back up, and it's nicely underneath that treble there. Coming to the next shell, the 5 treble shell, work a back post double on each of those. So yarn over, and that's the first one. Was 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the last one, 5. You can see how these 5 trebles are of course the same as those 5 trebles. So this we're going to repeat all the way around. You can see here how you're going to have a continuous line here with those chains and those back post stitches. I'll just show you this step here once more. Chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then yarn over twice for the treble. Come down to round 9. You see there are the 2 doubles that are worked in 1 stitch. In between those 2, over everything, just grab your yarn and complete the treble. And then again chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you can just fashion this chain again. Just bring it up and under. Now again 5 back post doubles. Go all the way around, and here after your last chain 5, close on this stitch here with a slip stitch, that standing stitch, and then leave your yarn attached because the next round is the same color. Round 13, and that first standing stitch from round 12 with a slip stitch. Chain 1. This does not count as a stitch, it's just to bring you to the correct height. We're going to work a single crochet in each of the 5 stitches here on the shell. So here in the first stitch, so that's in there. I've just got the slip knots a bit in the way. That's 1, and then on the next 4 also. 2, 3, 4, and 5. A single crochet on each of those stitches. In these 2 chain spaces we're going to work 6 single crochets in each of them. So in the first chain 5 space work 6 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 single crochets. Just split them out a little bit. So we're going to skip the treble here and then come to the next space, the next chain 5 space, and work 6 singles again. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 singles. We now add a shell again, work 1 single crochet on each of those 5 stitches from the shell. That's the first one, and this one is of course exactly the same as the stitch we started with. So you're going to repeat this all the way around. Work a single crochet on each of the stitches in the shell, and in the chain 5 spaces you work 6 singles in each space. Go all the way around, and when you get to the beginning you can close on the first stitch with a slip stitch or an invisible join. Round 14, I have a new color yarn on my hook. we're going to start in the third of any 5 back post double crochet shells. See, here are these 5 back post doubles. I'm going to start in the third one, so that's that one. I'm going to work a front post treble around it. And the first one is of course a standing, so I'm just going to yarn over twice and then hold on to everything. Then the third stitch there, third back post double. Look, I just snagged my hook in there, so try to prevent these things because then it really makes life hard on you. And then complete the front post treble. There we go. We're going to skip the stitch immediately to the back and then come to the next stitch, that's that one there, and work a single. So the skip stitch that you're skipping is that stitch. That's the third of the 5 singles that you're working here, that you worked here in the shell. So it's really the center stitch you're skipping. Then come to the next stitch, that's this one here. I work a single. And this is the first of 16. So that's 1. Then this is 2. 3, you're going to work 16. That will bring you to the next shell. And 16. There you go, so 16 single crochets. The next stitch is again going to be a front post treble around the third stitch from these 5 back post double crochets. So I'm going to yarn over twice. Third stitch there, work a front post treble, and 3. Skip the stitch immediately to the back. That's going to be the next stitch in this case because you've already worked a few. So you see how I'm skipping a stitch there and then work a single. And this is again the first of 16. If you want to just pop that treble a little forward, but it's nice and that it has some room to breathe. So these 2 stitches are the same as those 2 stitches. So now I'm going to work 16 singles and then here work a front post treble again, skipping the stitch to the back and then work 16 singles. Go all the way around. After your last 16 single crochets, close here on your first stitch and close with an invisible join because we're going to be making back post stitches again in the next round. Round 15. I have a new color yarn on my hook. We're going to start in any of these front post treble stitches, doesn't matter which one, so any of those front post trebles. Start in there with the standing double crochet. So in the front post treble, standing double, followed by 2 more double crochets in the same stitch. So you're going to have 3 doubles in the front post treble. On the next 16 stitches, those are these 16 single crochet stitches, work a back post double on each of those. Yarn over around the first stitch, back post double, and then the second one. You can see these stitches might seem a little small, so you see 2 and the third one. And then continue until you've worked a back post double on all 16 of these singles. That will bring you to the next front post treble. And here's the last one, 16. 16 back post double crochets around those stitches. Next up is a treble, and this stitch you're again going to work 3 double crochets, just like there. Here in that stitch, that's 1, 2, and 3. You can see how these 3 doubles are the same as those 3 doubles. So you're now going to work on your 16 singles here, work again a back post double on each of those. Go all the way around, and after your last back post double, close on your first stitch. You can do that with a slip stitch if you want. Round 16, I have a new color yarn on my hook, and this is the same color as we did here, the 2 rows down, that we have that front post treble in. There's a reason for that, because we're going to be working in that front post treble, and that's why I'm using the same color yarn. I'm going to start in the first of any 3 double crochets that's worked in this front post treble. So it doesn't matter which position you take. I'm going to take this one, and the first of those 3 doubles starts in there with a single crochet, and the first one is of course a standing single crochet. And work a single on the next 2 stitches. 1, 2. So on all 3 of those double crochets you now have worked a single. Going to come down and work a front post treble around this front post treble from round 14. Go to yarn over twice. You're going to have to fold your work a little bit to get around that stitch. Grab your yarn, bring this up, and then complete the treble. It's 1, 2, 3. Then coming back up, I'm going to skip the next stitch. That's going to be that one. I'm going to skip that stitch, and then come to the stitch after and work a single. And this single is the first of 14. That will bring you here to the next bit with the doubles and the treble. So that's 2, 3, continue until you have 14. And 14. There we go. 14 single crochets. At this point you should have 1 stitch left, that last stitch there, before you get to the 3 doubles that were worked in the front post treble. We're now going to work another front post treble around this, the next front post treble here from round 14. Put the yarn over twice, around the stitch, pick up, bring up, take off 2 loops, take off 2 loops, take off 2 loops. There we go. I'm going to skip the next stitch here at the top. So that was that last stitch that I said you still had left. And then work a single crochet in the 3 doubles that I worked in the front post treble. So 1, 2, and 3. And these 3 singles are exactly the same as those 3 singles we did there right at the start. So we're going to repeat everything once more. Actually, 7 more times until you're all the way around. So we're now going to work a front post treble again around this front post treble from round 14. So yarn over twice. Then coming down, folding your work, and you're just going to stack this second front post treble just right in front of the first one. Just stack them in front of each other. And then 2, take off 2, and take off 2. You can see how that gives you a little bit of a V there around that front post stitch. skipping the next stitch here at the top. So I'm going to skip that stitch, then come to the stitch after. And this is again the first of 14. It's 1, 2, here's 3. And I'm going to continue until I have 14. And that will bring me here. We'll have 1 stitch left again, but you're going to skip after you've worked the front post treble. 3 singles in the 3 doubles there, and then another front post treble. Go all the way around. You're going to finish here with your last front post treble that you're going to work around this post here, and then you're going to close on this first stitch, your first single crochet. You can close there with a slip stitch. Around 17, I have a new color yarn on my hook with a slip knot. We're going to make cross stitches in this round. The cross stitch is made over 4 stitches. The stitch that you start in, you're actually going to skip, then you work 3 doubles, and then you come back to the first stitch to complete the cross. So for the starting position, it might seem a little weird that you're not going to start in the stitch that I'm indicating that you should start with. The reason is because the cross stitch actually starts in the stitch after. We're going to, if you have here, here's the V that we made in the previous round with those 3 single crochets that are between those 2 front post trebles. We're going to start in the front post, in that second front post treble there. And we're going to start with making a cross stitch. Now the first one is going to be a standing cross stitch. So I'm just going to yarn over and hook onto that and hold on to that yarn. Now the cross stitch is, this is the position that we're starting. In the next stitch, make a double crochet. And that first one is of course going to be a standing double crochet. And in the next 2 stitches also make a double. So 1 and 2. So you now have 3 double crochets. We're going to come back and crossing over these 3 doubles in the first stitch, work a double crochet. That means I'm going to yarn over. I've just got the yarn tail in the way there. Yarn over. Then folding your work, and so you're have to come in through that first stitch there. Oh, you just need to take the entire stitch. You can see how I've kind of brought my hook down. And from the back, grab the yarn and bring this back up. So now I've got, so that's the yarn over, that last one there. And bring them up. You see when you bring them up, you've got your yarn, your 3 loops there. Let me just show you that again. So I'm going to yarn over, insert through the stitch, grab your yarn and bring them back up. So you see this loop that you're pulling open, that's making the cross. So the loop that you just brought up is really going to be opened up. Got 3 loops on your hook. So let's complete, now you completed double crochet. So it's take off 2 and take off 2. And that is your first cross stitch made. Chain 1. Over the next 4 stitches work another cross stitch. So this is the first stitch, but of course not going to work in that. I'm going to come in the stitch after. And that's the first of 3. So that's 1, 2, 3. Going to yarn over, come in back to that stitch we skipped and complete a double, so to make another cross like here. So yarn over, in through that stitch, pick up the yarn, bring this back up. You see I've got everything all squished here together, and then open this up and then take off 2 loops and take off 2 loops. Chain 1, that's not part of the cross stitch, that's just a chain 1. And again, skipping the first stitch of the cross stitch, come to the second position, work a double, that's 1, 2, 3, yarn over, come in through that first stitch, grab onto your yarn, open this up, take off 2, take off 2. Chain 1. You have 4 stitches left, including that treble there. Skip the first, come to the second. 1, 2, and the third one here falls in the treble, the front post treble. Yarn over and insert through the first position. Through the first position, grab the yarn and then come back up. Take off 2, take off 2. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to skip the 3 single crochets that are between the 2 trebles. And starting in the next treble, work another cross stitch. Now, starting in the front post treble, but of course skipping the first stitch, then come to position number 2 and work a double. That's 1, 2, 3 doubles, yarn over, then come back to the front post treble, insert through the front post treble, pick up the yarn from the back and open up, and then complete the double crochet. So I take off 2 and take off 2. And this stitch, this cross stitch is exactly the same as that cross stitch. It means you're now going to work 3 more cross stitches with chain 1s in between. So remember the chain 1s in between. You need them to just give you enough room, otherwise your mandala will really buckle. And then a chain 4 in between there. Work all the way around. And you're here going to finish with the chain 4 and then close on the first stitch. That will be this standing double there. Close on that stitch with a slip stitch. Round 18. New color yarn on my hook. We're going to start in any chain 4 space here, so above the this V here. I'm going to start in that chain space, that chain 4 space, with a standing single crochet. now going to make a treble popcorn, and we're going to come down to round 16. You see here the 3 singles that we skipped. In the center one, so the second of the 3, going to work a treble popcorn. So that means yarn over twice, and then in that second stitch, and be sure to not snag your chain 4 space, work 5 trebles. That's 1, 2, here's 3, 4, and the last one is 5. There we go. 5 trebles. Then open up the loop. Come back to your first treble, which is this one. Pick up your loop on your hook, close, and pull through, and finish with the chain 1. That's your treble popcorn made. Come back to the chain 4 space and work another single crochet in there. And there we go. So you've got a single, then a treble popcorn, and a single. We now have a series of cross stitches. In the first 4 stitches, I'm going to work a single crochet on each. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 single crochets. The chain 1 space, work a single in the chain 1 space. 4 more singles on the next stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the chain space, chain 1 space, a single. Next 4 stitches, work a single on each again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the chain space, work a single. On the last 4 stitches, work a single on each. 2, 3, and 4. Next up is again the chain 3 space, or chain 4 space I should say, and work a single in the chain 4 space. This single crochet is exactly the same as the standing single we started with. That means everything we've just done, we're going to do that 7 more times, so all the way around. It means we're now going to make a treble popcorn here in that second stitch. So in that stitch, to make a treble popcorn, and come back up and work a single in a chain space, and then work all the other single crochets. Go all the way around, and when you hit to your first stitch, you can close on that stitch with a slip stitch. Round 19, I have a new color yarn on my hook, and we're going to start in the first single crochet immediately after a popcorn. So here's a popcorn, then the single crochet immediately after, that's that one. Work a single crochet in that stitch. We're going to work a single crochet on the next 20 stitches also. So there are 21 stitches between the popcorns. I'm going to work a single crochet on each of those. So the first one is a standing one, plus 20 more, 21 in total. And the last one. So now I have 21 single crochets between the popcorns. Next stitch is the popcorn. In the popcorn, work 3 single crochets. I'm just going to go to that space there to the right of it. 1, 2, 3 single crochets. Next stitch is the single crochet here on this side after the popcorn. In that stitch, work a single. Work a single crochet. And that stitch is exactly the same as the stitch we started with. So now you're again going to work 21 singles, and then when you get to the next popcorn you work 3 singles in there. Go all the way around, and when you're here to the start, close with an invisible join, because the next round we're going to be working back post stitches. Round 20, new color yarn on my hook. In this round we're going to be working a back post double crochet on every stitch. Doesn't matter which stitch you start. Yarn over, hold on to it for the first stitch. It's going to be a standing stitch. I'm just going to take this one here. It is arbitrary which stitch you take. And that's the first one. And then on every stitch, work a back post double crochet. Go all the way around. When you get to the first stitch, close on that first stitch with an invisible join or a slip stitch, whichever you prefer. But take these stitches one at a time, nice and easy. They do take some time, but back post double crochet on every stitch all the way around. Round 21, new color yarn on my hook. I'm going to start in any position, doesn't matter which position you choose, with a standing single crochet. Continue and work a single crochet on every stitch all the way around, and then close on the first stitch with an invisible join. One more. So go all the way around, and when you get back here, close, well, actually over the first stitch with an invisible join. So after round 21, this is what your mandala looks like, the medium mandala. You need to do exactly the same, so all the rounds that we did in part 2, you also need to do on the other mandala. That will then look like this. So this is the small one we also made in part 1, growing this to the same size, and we'll complete this mandala in part 3. So we'll grow it a bit larger still. So at this point you should have 2 mandalas the same size. So you can see if you put them on top of one another, they are the same size. And then the medium one, that's this one, has a pink edge around it. I'm going to finish this by connecting it to the ring. Your medium mandala is about 27 centimeters or so. I have here a 30 centimeter ring. I'm going to join this to the ring. Yes, there is quite a gap, that's correct, because we're going to be stretching out this mandala as we join it to the ring. That really is nice and pulls tight into the ring. We're going to join this exactly the same way as we did the mandala for part 1. We're going to be working a back post single crochet all the way around from the last round and the ring. And for that I'm going to be using the black yarn again. That's this one. So the black yarn I'm going to use to connect the mandala to the ring. You won't be able to see much if I use black yarn, so I'll be using a different color just to show you how to do that, and then I'll tear that out and do it with the black. So just to illustrate to you how we're going to be joining the mandala to the ring, I have here a different color yarn. You're going to be doing this with the black, but this is just for video purposes. I'm going to be working a back post single crochet between the last round and the ring. So the first one is going to be a standing back post single. Doesn't matter which stitch you start. Just going to go around that first stitch, so any stitch. Then underneath the ring, to pick up yarn, bring everything forward and complete the single crochet. Oh dear, well, I've just pulled that out. That was not the idea. There we go, and then just pull this out. There we go. Then the next stitch, again back post single, so around that stitch, and this ring is a little bit in the way, so you're going to have to just wrestle a little bit with it. So that's around the stitch, then underneath, grab the yarn, bring it up, and complete the single crochet. Next stitch, again around the stitch, hook underneath the ring, grab the yarn, bring the yarn through the stitch and up. You can see I'm almost knitting here because that's just a bit easier because of the ring, and then complete the single crochet. You've got 3 stitches in there. I'm going to go all the way around. That's almost 200 of them. 192. So around the stitch, underneath, grab the yarn, bring that up, around the stitch, and then pull through. There we go. I'm going to take out this green and redo everything in the black, and as you're in about halfway, 2/3, you'll really be starting to pull open your mandala. So just keep on massaging your stitches to go around the mandala. You can really, because you're going to have to be spreading them out a little bit, also to help them place them well. So go all the way around, take your time on this, and then close on your first stitch with an invisible join. When you've connected the mandala to the ring, this is what your mandala looks like. You can see it's nicely stretched out, and it's nice and tight within the ring. So this center pattern really opens up because you're pulling it outward and it's being held by the ring. So if you look at it from the back, you can see that it's really nice and tight in the ring, and that's the look that you're going for. So you might have to struggle a little bit just to stretch it, but it does look nice once it is in the ring, and then it really holds its shape very nicely. So that's also why we have the ring in here, and this also makes it easier to hang this on a wall or in front of a window. So that completes part 2 of Trinity mandala, the medium mandala. So you now have this one as well as the small mandala. Next week we'll continue with part 3, in which we'll finish the large mandala. I hope to see you then. Thank you for watching.